I'm wearing my shorts because it's a hot, sunny summer's day. We're in Mile End Park in East London. We've come to go to the canal that's just over there. So the question we're going to ask in this series perhaps is, do I like canals more than I like tube trains? We'll see. I do like the fact though that, you know, tucked away with bridges, backwaters, there are these canals in London, and I think a lot of people live in London and have never been on a canal. And we're going to head that way down towards the Limehouse Basin.
So we're going to walk just under 25 miles of London's canal towpaths from east to west London, taking in the Lee Navigation, the Limehouse Cut, Hartford Union, Regent's Canal and the Paddington arm of the Grand Union.
So we've reached our first lock. This is Johnson's Lock, and you might be thinking, I know what's coming next. There's going to be an amazing graphical animation as to how a lock works. But no, I'm not going to do that because I'm not here to tell you some of the mechanics of the canal. I'm here just to point out some of the fun things that you can see from the towpath. However, I can see that you are in need of a graphical animation, so here is an overview of where we're going to be going on the canals in this series.
The Paddington arm of the Grand Union Canal starts out at Hayes in West London, passing through northwest London south of Wembley, through Kensal, down to Paddington, where the Regent's Canal starts, through Camden, King's Cross, and now east, where the canal network joins the complicated mass of waterways around Bow and connects up to the Thames at Limehouse. And it's on the way to Limehouse that you discover a tall chimney.
So here's the first thing that I have to mention. This quite impressive brick tower. Love that view up there. Some people, in fact I've even been on a tour here, where they say that this is a remnant from an old factory, an old bottle factory, where it used to vent out its factory gases. In fact, this is a sewage area, and the reason why this is here is for a ventilation from the sewage system. If you were to scale up that brick tower, climb to the top, have a whiff, that would not smell good.
Walking a few minutes further south, we encounter our first, but certainly not our last, train going overhead.
Welcome to the Limehouse Basin. The lock out to the Thames is just over there, and that's the whole reason that the Regent's Canal was built. There's a sign here saying welcome to the Regent's Canal. It was built over the top of London to be a way through for the barges and boats to get to the East End and the Docklands of London. Behind us is the Blackwall Viaduct. We think one of the world's first railway viaducts. The DLR now runs upon that. But what I like best of all about the Limehouse Basin is that the Limehouse Cut, a road, is deep down below us right now. One of the most expensive pieces of road ever built in London, maybe the whole of England, runs under here as a shortcut for cars beneath the Limehouse Basin.
Also keep an eye out here for this Accumulator Tower. Used up until the 1920s, it regulated the pressure in the hydraulic system that operated the cranes, lock gates and swing bridges in the dock. We walked up the Limehouse Cut. This 1.5 mile perfectly straight canal opened in 1770 and is a shortcut between the Lee Navigation and the River Thames, built to allow barges to avoid the twists and turns of Bow Creek, and features an award-winning 240-metre length of floating towpath which takes you to our next stopping point.
Okay, so we've got to the end of the Limehouse Cut. I love this point. My cameraman just now said this is epic, and it is kind of epic because you've got the River Lee here, you've got Bow Creek here, where it joins. There's double locks, there's this great lock mechanism, and then here the little narrow bridge which they used to bring the horses over when canal boats and barges used to be horse drawn. And it is just a kind of a cool area. If you've never been here before, come and just visit this one day. It's kind of cool.
I also love how two great Victorian transport methods frequently meet on the canals. There are many points where railway bridges span the water.
I like trains. District line.
Which is relevant because the next thing to see is railway related.
Come down to this waterway here. This is the Channel Sea River. Round the corner it leads to the Prescott Channel. The railway connection though is that some of you may know that Euston Station used to have known what was called a Doric arch, a massive stone arch as the entrance to Euston Station. And when that was torn down, broken up, ripped apart, the stones got taken away from there and used here and dumped into the Channel Sea River. So somewhere down there are the remains of the arch of Euston Station.
Next along the towpath, we stopped at the famous Three Mills, once a huge gin supplier and now a place where you can get married or simply get a free guided tour on a Sunday. And we learnt a brand new fact about the island.
So what you might not know is that the whole of Three Mills Island is artificial because it sits on these. These are wooden piles. This is just a shortened version for demonstration purposes. The real ones below us right now are about 10 foot tall, and that allows the buildings to sit on top of these and the water to flow underneath. It's pretty cool. We've left the Three Mills area, the island, and we've come over to Three Mills Lock, which gives me the chance to say something that I've always wanted to say, is that, Jeff, you are live on Londonist, do not swear. Oh yeah, Davina McCall stood here for 2 seasons back in 2000 and 2001, the original Big Brother house. They only had it for 2 seasons because Channel 4 weren't sure that the show was going to be a hit and they moved it elsewhere. But for the first 2 series, if you watched all those years ago, it was just over there, and the bridge, which has now been replaced by a lock, was here, and Davina McCall on a Friday night would go across twice to bring out the latest evictee from the house. This is where it happened. Other things to note is that the 3 Mills lock here is brand new. It was only installed in 2012 at the time of the Olympic Games, and all the locks on the canals are all sequentially numbered. Apart from this one, nice little touch, has been numbered as lock number 2012.
A short walk down the Bowback River to get to our next stopping point.
We've made it to Bow. Over there is the A11 and the very busy, the very congested Bow roundabout, and the canal cuts right through it underneath. Now, a few years back, if you wanted to get from one side to the other, you had to go up to the roundabout, work your way across the traffic, a little bit hairy, and make your way back down to towpath here. Until a few years back, they installed these quite unique floating towpaths, literally floating on the canal, which allows you to cross from one side to the other. So we've got to Fish Island. It's great, there's people, there's a cafe, there's kids running about, there's even a guy just repairing random bikes as people ride their bikes down the towpath. It makes you feel totally removed from London, which is what I love about the canal. You don't feel like you're in London until you get a whacking great reminder of something that very clearly is London and iconic, because the Olympic Stadium is right here. And best of all, I love this. Remember the pink signs, London, from 2012? This might just be the last remaining pink sign in the whole of London. It even matches my shirt.
It almost matches my shoes too. Should point out, if you are going to walk on the canals, then get some sturdy footwear. Next, we went on to a new stretch of water.
So we've come off the lee navigation, that's back over there by the Olympic Stadium. We've turned left and we've entered the Hartford Union Canal, which is very straight and will take us all the way down to the Regent's Canal at the bottom of Victoria Park. Some people think it's very straight and boring, but I think it's also very colourful and artistic. As you'll see, there's a few fun and colourful things to see along the way.
This building is an electricity substation, but we'll cover why the electricity is important to canals later, and instead we had a nice, quiet, reflective moment. Continuing on, and we passed the lovely Growing Concerns Garden Centre and Community Gardens, which are worth checking out, until we got back to the junction at the Regent's Canal, a little way further north of where we started.
And we have just walked the entire length of the Hartford Union Canal. We're now out at the junction here where it meets the Regent's Canal. Just one small thing to point out is that there are some gates down here. What it does is that it prevents water from one section of the canal going into another. There are some more down towards Little Venice, actually when the canals were run by competing companies and they didn't want the water from one canal getting into someone else's canal. It means that you can control the water level here in the Hartford and the water level here in the Regent's Canal separately. I don't think they've been used in quite a while though.
The Hartford Union, for almost its entire length, runs alongside Victoria Park, within which there's something cool to see.
When you think of some of your favourite parks in London, I often think of 2. I think of Battersea Park, which I think is an undiscovered gem. I also think of here, Victoria Park, where we are today, a popular place to moor your boat. And also, there's a Chinese pagoda just sat there. Cool. The cyclist there going into Victoria Park. If you are a cyclist on the towpath, you should always give way to pedestrians. Joggers too, they run a bit fast. Always slow down. The canal is a slow, sedate lifestyle. But cycling, of course, is a big issue in London. They're building dedicated cycle paths at the moment. But did you know that here, on the canal, they don't have dedicated cycle paths, they have dedicated duck paths.
The canal snakes its way between London Fields and Cambridge Heath and Haggerston and Hoxton, and then brings you out to here.
And we've made it to the rather peaceful Kingsland Basin, unless of course you're taking part in the slalom course. That brings us to the end of the first leg of our journey and the end of part 1 of this video series. Yes, it's a video series. If you want to be the first to see the rest of the series, click on the subscribe button down below and you'll see the rest of the videos in due course. We'll leave you with the thought, of course, to not feed the ducks.